Eduardo Sanin, the account manager at Qbitia, and welcome to this meetup about Qcaid. As a quick introduction, we are a startup based in Spain with sales office in Chicago and in London. Anyway, if you need some more information, feel free to send me a message and well, we can keep this conversation going on. Anyway, without further ado, here with me is Marcos Suarez, who is our R&D director, who knows everything about our platform. In fact, he's the genius behind it, who's going to do a quick introduction about the tool. But anyway, feel free to ask anything to him in the middle of introduction. As there's some people here in the conversation, please write on the chat and that you will have any question and we'll give you the mic. Okay, and thank you very much. I leave you with Marcos.
Hello, can you hear me? Let me make a brief introduction of the idea behind Qcaid, and we'll make a demo following the main workflow of the tool. I'll try to summarize the main points. If you want, we can go deeper when you think it's more interesting. First, it's important to know that Qcaid is a client-server application or cloud application, if you prefer, where all the main operations are performed in our servers. So we host the servers for performing the backtest. We host the historical database, and we also have servers for execute the strategies in real time in the simulated or in the real markets. Nowadays we have direct connections with nearly with global markets, nearly all markets, but mainly futures markets. All of these operations are controlled in the desk application of the user. It's a lightweight application in which the user can design and create their automatic strategies in a drag and drop interface without writing a single line of code, so it's very easy. They can launch and review the result of the backtests that are performed in the server, and also control the execution real-time of the strategies. So the users don't need to worry about maintaining the database or host and rent dedicated servers and connections with the markets. So I'll go with a real tool and maybe a hands-on approach. I think it is the most useful to understand the behavior of the tool. So let's make a simple but I think meaningful example following the main workflow. So first we're going to create a new strategy. You can set the default name, and we obtain an empty canvas with a right-hand palette with a lot of elements that we can use to create our strategy. The first element on the top is the instrument or the asset, and you can simply drag to the canvas as many as you need. So you can create the strategies using information and operating in one or as many assets as you desire. You can also drag the period of time, the periodicity of the information that you want to use in your strategy. It can go from 1 second to months of your data. And for each period of subscription, you obtain the classical resume, the classical summary of the data, open, high, low, close, and volume. And you can connect them with the assets that you want to use. So you can, for instance, 1 minute information from asset DOS and 1 second information from asset 1. So you can create strategies combining long-term and short-term information in the same strategy and for a more complete and advanced strategy. But for the example, I think it's enough with just one. You can see that you can, with a double click, easy update any parameter of any of the elements that we can drag to the interface. Now that we have some information, we're going to analyze this information We have generic functions, but also more specific functions. So we can pick as many as we want of this and drag it to the canvas, as simple as that, and connect the input with the desired source of data. Again, with a simple double click, we can easily edit the parameters. We can drag as many as we want, but in the example we are going to left just one. And once we have some analysis on the information, we want to establish some rules. Usually comparing different values or results, but you can also compare between a value and a static value or whatever. You can specifically detect the moment in which one value becomes bigger or smaller than other value. So this is the crossing down and crossing over elements. For instance, following some classical RSI strategy, if the RSI becomes smaller than 30, I want to go to the market. So I need a value 30. Here is a static value. I can drag this element, double click and set 30. And now I can connect. The RSI cross down or becomes smaller than 30. You can see that it's very easy to connect the elements, and the elements came directly from the rule, from the words that I use to describe the rule. If I want to open a position with this rule, I can combine, of course, as many as I want. I need an order. It could be a limit or a market order. Let's make it simple in this example and use just market order. It's very similar for limit orders. If I want to open a position, maybe I want to be sure that I already don't have position. So this element, position information, provides us information if we are in this strategy have already a precise moment of time. We have long or short position and the size of the long or short position, even the time in which it was open. So we can establish rules to increase or decrease our position, or simply to control that we already don't have position, like in this example. So if I want my first rule and not having long position, I need a not long. So I need a not element connected with the long position and the rule. So I need an end element. You can see that it's quite immediate to translate the rules to the elements that I need. And this is my signal to go to launch the market order. Here we have the quantity input, so we can establish our rules for the quantity. Please feel free to ask any questions at any moment, so we can engage this demonstration. For the quantity, you can establish rules depending volume, volatility, or whatever information that we want to use, or maybe just for simplicity set a fixed value like this. You see that we can simply establish one option to open a position on the market. We can in the order block have stops and take profits, so can easily set stops and take profits for this order, and we can decide with a double click the value, even the type of definition. We can even create our own rules to exit the position, and this is even easier using the element close position. This element already knows the size of your position, so if you don't have position, don't do anything, and if you have position, send the proper orders to revert, to close this position, not to revert, sorry, to close this position. For instance, and following the classical RSI strategy, if the RSI becomes greater than a value, I want to close my position. So RSI bigger than a certain value, close the position. I can set a new static value, but I want to show you another interesting feature of the tool, and it's the possibility of using one variable that we can create here on the left. I can easily create double, integer, or even Boolean variables. And I show you an example. I can create a double one, and here appears a new one, and I can drag it to the canvas. Then appears a new element, like I can double click and edit the name to be more meaningful, like over by, for instance, and connect it like the static values. Instead of a fixed value, these have a name, and with this name we can set a value on execution or backtesting. In fact, in backtesting we can set a range of values, test through a range of values to optimize the best result. We can use variables like this, dragging from the canvas, or I can show you another example, creating for instance an integer one. I can name it also here, like for instance the result period. And to use this kind of variables, here for instance, I can double click, expand the menu, and select the desired variable. So now, this parameter, instead of a fixed value, it's also a variable, and we can optimize through the value of this parameter. So here we have a very simple but a complete automatic strategy. You can see that in a couple of minutes we create an automatic strategy, just translating the rules to the elements on the canvas, not necessary to write any line of code or setting up a complicated interface to write code. And as simple as that is, since it's an automatic strategy, we can make a backtest. And it's as simple as selecting the proper command to load the strategy to backtest. We set a name, like demo test 1, for instance, or 1. You need to select the period of time in which you want to evaluate this strategy, let's say the last quarter of 2015. So you can see that it's very easy to select the period of time. There is other possible elements that you can set, like commissions or slippage, if it's necessary. And the necessary element is the instrument. You can see that here, this is a generic name for the asset, because we can test this logic on as many assets as we want. To select one, we hit choose, and here I have all the available elements. This is the demo version, so you have a selection of assets, and you can search on name or even combine name and symbol. So for instance, like this, you can pick this for the last quarter. Next, you can see the variables that we create, and it's running it's placed on the strategy. And now we can set a value, or we can test through a range of values, like this. A step of 10, something like this. Setting the first, the smallest and biggest one, and the step. Okay, now the finish is enabled, and we can upload our strategy. Hit finish. It says it's 9 different combinations, not too much, so it's okay. So I say yes, go ahead. And the strategy was uploaded to our servers. You can see that we are now connected to the backtest server. And to see the results, we just open the report window on the top. And you can see this report, the results. You can see that just in the few seconds that I make your explanation, this is already done. It's quite fast. I can double click. You can see this is the group with 9 different combinations. This is all the 9 different combinations with the different combinations of the variables. And with a double click, I can also open this comparison table for different combinations of values. So I can, for instance, search the smallest drawdown, the number 3. Here, it's number 3. And I can double click to open in detail the results of the backtest. The results it's divided in 4 different kind of information. The first one is the parameters used for the backtest with the proper value of the variables. Next is some performance figures. some statistical analysis of the results, like from the different ratio, win-loss ratio, and other useful information that we can decide if it's a good backtest. We can go operation by operation, taking look of when each operation was open and closed, and the prices, the duration, so you can follow all of the operations performed by your strategy. And you can go even deeper on the analysis and go order by order, checking the activity of the strategy. So you can see all of the orders, and not only that, you can even see when it was sent to the market, when it was filled. For instance, this stops sending to the market in reaction if it was cancelled, because probably another condition to close position was set, so the stops was automatically cancelled, and so on. You can track all the activity. Some performance plots, of course. So this is the main way of analyzing all of the results of the backtest. So you can step by step improve your strategy, and when you find a good strategy, you can execute this strategy. And it's as simple as launching the backtest, just selecting the proper option on the top and set a name for the strategy. I can group these strategies into portfolios just for simplicity. I can pick any of them or just type a new name to automatically create a new one. Select the asset. For instance, we come back to the CMP and search actual expiration date, like this. And now we can set the optimal values of my variables, like for instance 60, 16. So now finish is enabled, and I send this to the server. So you don't need to worry about maintaining and updating dedicated data server for execution, because we offer this as a service. To control this, we open the dedicated window here on the top again, and you can see this new portfolio with our strategy that we just launched now, and it's by default stop it. Starting it, it's as simple as hit the start button and confirmation. The strategy goes to what we call warm-up stage, in which they retrieve the necessary information from the database. So if the strategy, like our example, use historical data, they retrieve this information from the database and start to calculate the values of the functions, and waits for the first real-time data. So when the first real-time data, they can start trading automatically. I want to show you an example of a strategy already running. I have here for you. This is a bit different strategy that use limit orders. So I can show you, for instance, this strategy has a limit order on the market that you can see here. And for the order, you can see all the history of the order, all the events. So you can see when it was sent to the market, if it was replaced, when this replacement was accepted by the market, and everything. The same applies to the historical order that you can see on the left. Study that was already completed because it was filled or cancelled, so they finished their history. And again, you can see precise moment in which they were sent to the market, when it was filled, if they have partial fills, and everything is tracked for the historical and the active orders on the market. So we can have the design, the backtesting, and the execution, and all of this is integrated, in this case, with our partner. Our partner is Qcaid, one of the well-established companies in the futures market. And in this demo, it comes with a demo of one of their tools, the Qcaid mobile version, that you can open directly from this menu. It could work with any of the Qcaid tools. It's not mandatory to use, but it could be very useful. So you open the the CQG mobile version, I have here opened this account, synchronized with my Qcaid account. So you can see here on the order, the historical and the working orders, you can see the orders. In this case, the order that was introduced by an automatic strategy. You can check the ID ending in 7402. You can check that is the same ID. So you can have another way to look to your automatic strategies and combine with your manual operation tools. You can even override your strategy. For instance, modifying this order on the market, I can send it to the market price, modify the order, okay? So since I launched it to the market price, it was filled, and you can see the same field here in our tool. You can see that's filled right now. This is our local time. It is reported in your local time zone. And you can see they introduce a stop and a limit for take profit. That of course appears here. Again, I can show you again that also appears, for instance, in the ladder or whatever. If you have other CQG applications, for instance, you can see the operations in the plot. I can, of course, if this is a stop and take profit, so for instance, if I hit the take profit, modifying the limit price, it was filled, and of course, the stop was cancelled. So, and we can see the same in our tool. So everything is smoothly integrated, and you can see that our automatic tool could be easily integrated with the manual operation tools. So it's very immediate for every user without getting any specific or dedicated infrastructure. Just pick our infrastructure as a service that we provide, and with the graphical display, you can easily start to be an automatic trader or continue to improving your automatic trading. There is in the website the possibility of getting a demo, so it's completely free. We encourage you to request a demo. There is also some video tutorials explaining you some options, and you get some example of strategies related with the tutorial that you can see as an example and start from that point to create new strategies using another rules, like rules depending on the hour of the day, depending on duration, how to, for instance, make a strategy to get a position and later increase this position or decrease this position, and also the interesting option of creating components, some bigger strategies with some group of elements that you want to reuse. You can group these strategies, these elements, and reuse these elements in different strategies. I can show you here an example. In any strategy, if I have components, I can simply track them and obtain internally this group of logic. So I can reuse pieces of logic between different elements. Well, this is a main overview. I can go deeper on many different points, but I think it could be useful. If you have any questions, please feel free to request them.
Just as another comment, this platform is available to be used with any FCM that works with CQG, and it costs like $300 each month. And anyway, as I said, the demo that previously Marcos mentioned, you can get it in our website. It's www.qbitia.com, and that demo is totally free, so you can do a 30-day trial at no cost. And well, as Marcos said, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them now.
We are also open, of course, if you have any question now, but if you want have any question later after requesting the demo or making your hands-on the tool, we are open to help you to create some specific rules that you don't know how to create, or we want to learn from different traders different ways of thinking about rules to operate on the market. So please feel free to send us any of your questions.
Okay, Jeff, do you want to say something now, or should we stop it here?
Yeah, thank you, Marcos, for demonstrating that. I think that it's definitely something that I think one of the things is when you look at this, and I think there's definitely a learning curve for people. And Marcos, maybe you could go over what you feel like the best way. Is it just jumping right in and playing around with it? I know that there's a lot of videos on your guys' site that you can actually watch through YouTube as well. In your opinion, what would be the best way that somebody could, after purchasing this, really get up to speed and start building their own strategies?
Well, my main recommendation is going for the simple to the more complicated. We also, the examples that I have here and that they are commented in the videos, try to follow this approach. If you have some strategy with different rules, very elaborated strategies, maybe it's interesting to try to reproduce some subset of the rules, even to know that only the subset is not completely profitable. Try to build a more simple version of the strategy with the rules that you think it's more meaningful. And with this, you can make your first approach to the strategy, make a backtest, and if you have any problems, we can make a dedicated demo for you, for the user, because sometimes there is rules that is more elaborated, and it's difficult to create example for everything, especially because every trader have their own way of building rules. So we really encourage everybody to request help from us. We are very happy to help everybody to building their strategies and teaching them. So my approach is try to make some of your rules on the tool, and if you have some problems, please contact us. And later you can see that, for instance, you can start with a very simple strategy that we build right now, and for instance later you can add, for instance, this is the same strategy but adding a condition to operate just in a specific range of hours during the day, or maybe apply a rule, to depending on the duration of the position, I want to make something. So it's very easy to, it's easier if you make it simple and then you build from that point. Otherwise, if you try to make a very complex strategy from the very beginning, you could be very overwhelmed in the first minute. But step by step, I think it could be easier.
No, I think that's the right approach. I agree, and I don't know if John or Steve have any other questions, but as I mentioned earlier, I think since this is happening kind of, I know you guys are in Spain, so that's a lot easier, for you to do it now than if we were to wait until, let's say, after the market's closed around 3 or 3:30 our time. So I think the fact that this is being recorded is great. I think a lot of people are actually going to watch this, later, and I encourage, and will post, a follow-up to this.
Sure. Don't hesitate either way about requesting our different hours. We know that we work with people from Australia, from the States, so we have combined our hours to match hours on the different places. So don't hesitate to request our demos or trials or examples at any moment. We have great flexibility on that point, so please don't feel this as a constraint. And I appreciate that this opportunity to comment on this, but feel free to request when it's more comfortable for you, so you can feel comfortable to attend these meetings.
And I appreciate that, guys. So I think at least let's when you guys have the recording set, let's post that to the group page, and and I'll write a little something as well, and hopefully a lot of people can watch them. We could have another one of these in a month, and and I think we'll really start to see the attendance increase. It usually, from my experience, takes a few of these webinars or meetups to actually start to get the ball rolling. So I think this was a really good start.
Okay, no problem. We are happy to show our tool to everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Great,
thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, so we ended this here, and please feel free to make any question whenever you think it's interesting. Bye.